What's up? It's your boy Carcino, man, and this is one that somebody else asked me about a long time ago, and I always said, man, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna talk about it because I've heard so many stories about this. It's just like all twisted up and just crazy. Some of the stuff I'm like, really? But this is the truth behind Martin Lawrence, his ex-wife Pat, Emma Smith, Jamie Foxx even, and this could probably give you a little clarity on the situation. Now, when Martin first got hot, let's start there. We're going to go through a whole bio of Martin Lawrence, but when Martin first started to get hot, and Jeff Comedy Jam is taking off, all of these different things and elements started happening for Martin Lawrence. He gets the Martin TV show. He's blowing up and everybody loves Martin. So Def Comedy Jam started to take their act on the road. Like, we finna tour and do some shows. So they had like one in Virginia where he met the former Miss USA model named Pat. Forgot her last name. But anyway, he hooked up with Pat at this, friend Trish had those backstage passes, so they get backstage, meet Martin, met his brother or whatever, and she was working, I think, in D.C. at the time, for the government, doing some work. But Pat's cute, she's real put together, beauty pageant. So Martin, he's got the fans, in the back room trying to take pictures. So he's on Class A stuck up mode. So she's not feeling it, and for some reason, they get invited to go back to the after party. And he was rude at the backstage, and then when they went to the after party, he was still rude. So she was like, they got in an argument at the nightclub, and he was like, I ain't gotta put, I'm Martin Lawrence. My name is on the thing. I don't have to put up with any of this. So he was just so arrogant. She was just told her friend, like, look, I'm leaving. So as she was getting ready to leave the place, Martin Lawrence's brother Robert went and stopped her and was like, you know what? You pretty cool, man. He's just tripping right now. Tell you what, give me your number and I'll have him call you later. So she gave her the number. She didn't think Martin was going to call her. And then once Martin went around the fans and everybody else and he called her, they talked on the phone for hours. And she just laughing and giggling, and Martin got her cracking up. Trish like, look, y'all got to keep it down. Y'all keeping me up. And they talked on the phone for like 3-4 hours. And she just started feeling a vibe between her and Martin. So they started dating, and things started happening quick because Martin was busy. He was getting this big film, Bad Boys, big feature action movie. So he was really excited. So there he got on the roof of his apartment building and said, proposed to her and everything else. So that was it. They getting ready to plan a wedding and get married, and this is it. They finna be a family. So while Martin's doing all this, Martin also got high. It was no big secret. Martin would get high and all this stuff. So during that engagement, she was doing all the planning. Martin would leave, go out of town for something, come back mad, and that they'll get into an argument and this and that, and they'll cool down and things will work back out. So they had a lot of arguments over stuff. So it wasn't as if there was a little argument or a big argument. There was always an argument. And they just patch it up. But they're young and they just moving on really fast. So Bad Boys is a big success. And after the movie, the wedding is getting ready to come up. Martin has this bachelor party the night before. I can't even give you the details on how crazy it was. I just heard from various people it would make bachelor party look like a joke compared to what all Martin did that night. But more importantly that night was he ended up smoking something that had him in a crazy state. Alleged. This is what happened. The day of the wedding, Martin is not really Martin today. His mind is all over the place and he's thinking the federal government is after him. And he's thinking that the fans, the government has given all the fans the location to his wedding. So at the last minute, people are getting ready to walk into the church. Like Will Smith and his wife, who were in the wedding, they're at the wedding. They're at the church where the wedding is supposed to be. They get a call. Martin changes the whole church, the whole entire wedding, and moved it to a whole nother church an hour because he felt the feds and everybody else and the paparazzi and everybody was waiting for him because he was so damn hot. They had to get Martin calm down, try to get some ice on him, get him. Meanwhile, Will Smith and Dwayne Martin, all those guys, they're outside, like on the streets, like it's been moved. No, nobody told us anything, I have no idea. Like the paparazzi was telling them it's been moved. Telling the celebrities, they didn't even know. So people had to leave out of the church. So some people didn't even make the ceremony because they was at the old church and they were like, they didn't even have the new information. So they're at the old church. So the wedding went down. It was such a mess, and she was all depressed a little bit. Like, I wanted my family members to be there and all this stuff. And she was so trusting of Martin, she signed over, everything. Like, she signed a prenuptial agreement with Martin, so he dictated. Martin likes control. He wanted a wife that was just going to sit home, do nothing, take care of the kids, and basically, she has no credit card whatsoever. He gives her cash to go out and go shopping. He gives her cash to go do this and do that. You got cash to do this. You want something, a dress or something we need to get? Okay, we'll go order it or we'll go get it together because I got to make sure this is something I want to see you in. So Martin is very possessive like that. And that led to a lot of arguments, a lot of problems. So after putting up with this, she got pregnant. She had a daughter named Jasmine, and while she was a little baby, Martin was busy traveling, doing work, and doing a Thin Line. He was executive producer of his whole movie, so he was fighting people on the set. He ended up passing out, going to the hospital. Then he had the incident. They got home, he got into a big fight, and she left Martin for good. Now, when she left Martin for good this time, Martin was trying to find out where she was at because he thought it was just for one night, like get out. But she meant like she wasn't coming back. But Martin realized, I ain't giving her that much money, so I don't know where she got money from. So she can't be gone this long. So she went to Will Smith, Cherie, his first wife at the time. They had the kid together. So Will, they stayed over there at Cherie house for a little bit till she can get herself together. So Will went through a similar situation with his first wife. They just realized they got married too young. And going through this whole process, she was like, I can't go to my family's many miles away. I can't go running back to my sisters, over there, inconveniencing her. So I got to get myself together. I got my daughter here. She's in a car seat. I got to get things together to where, we won't have to do this anymore. So all of a sudden things change. Everything flips around, and now you have a bigger problem than anybody ever imagined, because now Martin is upset because his wife's not coming back home. So he's like what? This is getting to be serious. Now I'm gonna have to file charges of you kidnapping my daughter. So she went in and had to get her a place because he was gonna have problems with Will if look, if my wife is at your house and you ain't telling me, we finna have some real problems. And Martin was crazy, and Martin had guns. And Will did not want any problems with that, so she couldn't stay there. She had to go where she had to go. So while all of this is going down, and things are, going through their courses, Martin agreed for the divorce. So Martin divorces her. She's got her own place now. So while she feel like she's getting back on her feet, Martin had this big episode where he just had the incident when he was running outside thinking that federal agents was trying to shoot and kill him, and he ended up passing out. And this is the first time the public got to see Martin when he's in one of these episodes where he's smoking something. But it was like, oh no, he was just dehydrated, heat exhaustion, and he got stuck in character of the movies. His PR team is trying to save him because the police could have killed him. He was running down the streets in his underwear with a gun. And they didn't want to shoot him, and they had every right to shoot him. And they didn't. So Martin is, hospitalized, and they, doing what they doing with him. His wife, she's, flirting back and forth. His ex-wife or current wife, divorce pending. They having a situation where she's now trying to get back into the dating game. So a lot of people told her, like, ooh, this guy's been checking you out, you should get back out there. He's a friend of mine, I'm going to hook you up. And it was Jamie Foxx. So they got Jamie Foxx involved in the whole situation. And Jamie was real sweet. He could play the piano. And everybody's like, wow, this guy is something else. He was from Texas as well. And it was like, look, I'm from Texas and this and that. And he was able to hold a more intellectual conversation with her than Martin was. But it didn't take long for him to show some of the same things Martin was doing. And then all of a sudden it was kind of linking out that Jamie Foxx and her was dating. They went on a couple of dates and they talking about getting together. Martin didn't like that too much. Yeah, he wasn't too excited to hear about Jamie Foxx could be with his, girl. That's just not something he was very interested in. So he was like, really? Jamie Foxx? Oh, I think I'll end his career. So Martin Lawrence went to go see what he could do with Jamie Foxx. Because Jamie Foxx at this time had nothing really going on at this time. He was doing small stuff. Like he was doing In Living Color, and that was basically his claim to fame. And then '96 he started to really start going into films like full time. And he was in the hit movie Truth About Cats and Dogs. Then he did The Great White Hype. So with those two movies right there, that was about his claim to fame at the time. But he was a comedian that was on the rise, but hadn't quite got there yet. He was still just in the those roles. It was only once he got Any Given Sunday were we able to see Jamie Foxx take a lead, dominate a lead, and be great. And that didn't come into '99, but him and Pat broke up very quick after that. Threats from Martin Lawrence was coming in, and the pressure from Martin's people was on Jamie Foxx. Hurting him from getting work and all that craziness during that time. So it was just unnecessary. So once they broke up anyway, it didn't really have nothing to do with that. It was more about just Jamie and her. So once they broke up, now you're looking at a situation where Emmitt Smith is involved. Because Emmitt, oh great, this guy just came in and tried to tell me something about sports. Anyway, Emmitt used to go, I don't know if y'all remember, y'all probably too young, but Sinbad used to throw these big events, big parties in Aruba, comedy show where they have old throwback like Frankie Beverly and Maze, and if you're out in Aruba, that's where people go to vacation, and then you got big shows out there. And for Sinbad, he was basically couldn't get any roles anymore, so he was out there making things happen. So at this point, he was just, doing what he does, putting on his show, and Emmitt Smith was out there with some of his brothers from Phi Beta Sigma. And one of his Phi Beta Sigma brothers knew, Pat, Martin's ex-wife. So right away, Emmitt, who had just came off a breakup with his baby mama, he just went through that drama, and he was looking like, I'm looking for somebody that I could build with. He was looking for a relationship. So they went and hung out, and she was, I'm in love. She was in love with him right away. So she decided to try to play it slow, and it didn't really work. She was really hooked on him. And the fact it was the way he talked to her. He talked to her like a businessman. Like, I'm interested in you right away, so I'm vetting you. And so they're dating, and then it became like Emmitt Smith and Pat are going places and making public appearances, and Martin is like, look, my daughter's over there. I don't know this man. I know he runs a football, but I want to know who my daughter with. We got to meet him. So at this point, Martin was dating another woman. He was already in another relationship. So it wasn't like he wanted Pat back. He was more concerned about his daughter. Like, I want to know what's going on with my daughter and who is this guy around my daughter. So they actually had to sit down in a meeting, and Martin and Emmett actually had a conversation, and they went and talked. He said, look, this your daughter, you and Pat, you know, she's my wife, and that's what's going on here, man. And when E. Smith talk to you, he kind of feel like your pops, even though you might be older than him or younger. He just has that command, you know, like that like, I'm a man, so you ain't finna get away with punking me if y'all what you think, you know, like I'm gonna treat her like my daughter. So your daughter's good, and it was all love. Like, Martin wasn't gonna come in there on no gangster stuff. He just wanted to show, like, I ain't no punk, and Emmett like me either. So, but we both got the same interests in mind. Your daughter, I got you on that. Like, don't worry, she in good hands here, and you always family. And right now they are all one big family. Like, they call him Daddy Martin. You know, her other kids that she got with Emmett Smith. It's all works out. When people communicate, things could always be worked out. They just weren't meant to be together, and that happens in relationships. Sometimes people go, they have different goals. And if somebody doesn't fit what you think they should be, or as a wife, it might not work. The person probably has some inner things they got to work out. They didn't spend enough time to get to know each other enough before they went and got married. They were just moving 100 miles an hour. And she was just in awe, and that's what happens sometimes when you're young. And that's why a lot of young couples ended up breaking up. I'm out. I can't deal with this. Because they don't understand anything, so. Anyway, that's that. For anybody else who cared, I told you I was going to get your request done. I did it. So enjoy the rest of the day. It's your boy Carcino. I'm out. I love happy endings.